Hey guys, if this is the first video you're watching on my AI Prime light, I've done two previous videos on the light. The first one was around how and why I chose the spectrums I did. If you look at that one, it's basis T5 and metal halide bulb spectrums. I took those spectrums and determined what I liked and didn't like and the look I wanted, and I mimicked those in my AI Prime LED. And so if you're looking at those previous ones, that's going to give you the background. The second one I did was around some initial growth I had. And this third one is going to be around the continued growth. So obviously, if the light is not putting out continued growth and continued health of the coral, then it's not a good light spectrum to have. So I'm going to show how this light spectrum is putting out continued health and growth of the coral. So this was a Monty cap that I got. I got it about, 5.5 months ago, 2.5 months ago. It was just one round edge. This video here that you're seeing was taken 3 months ago, and you can see that round edge became a bunch of nubs. It started growing, it started separating and curving. The round smooth edge went away, and it started taking off in different directions and creating its own new growth pattern. All those edges came out. And so here it is 3 months later. So this is 5.5 months after putting a smooth edge in my tank. The big thing I want you to notice here, if you look at this edge right here, it is smashed up against the glass. If you look at the 3 month area, it was nowhere near the glass. So it has grown a ton. It has grown enough that that whole edge has smashed up against the glass. All those little areas that were just starting to become nubs are plating out. This is here under the full blue area of my tank with all the full blue spectrum going. And again, you can just see how everything is plating out. That one edge is just smashed right up against the glass. And if you were to go back and look, that edge is nowhere near the glass. And right now it is smashed up against the glass. So here is also a side version of it. So you can see how it is splitting, how it is plating. You can see that that one single plate that I put in is now creating multiple different plates, and the growth is just amazing. This is far more than what I would have expected out of a Monty cap under my bulb conditions. And I'm getting this under an LED. So the growth is just absolutely amazing that I'm seeing on this Monty cap. And to see that it's from a side view here, how much it's splitting and growing is just, it's outstanding. So here I have a Acan. This was about 6 months ago. It was a 4-head frag that was put into the tank. And as it grew, this was 3 months ago. So in 3 months, that 4-head frag had a couple babies, several babies popping out below the bottom. As you can see, there's 4 right in the front, and they just kind of wrapped around the back. So several babies popping out on this 4-head frag. So really great growth with the Acans here. And you can see there, it's just, again, the babies are just kind of packed in there and really starting to come in under the 4 initial Acan heads that were there. And so all those little babies there are now starting to become full adult heads. You can see this here is the next video of it. This is at the 6-month mark post putting in that little 4-head frag. So it's really starting to expand. All those baby heads that you just saw caked underneath are now becoming full heads and growing and expanding well. The entire coral, as you'll see here from a side view, is really starting to bubble up really high and creating kind of that, you can see that it's kind of creating a little ball on top of the plug, or on top of the disc that it was on. And those top heads there, you can see really that prominent 6 top heads are really big. The biggest one is about the size of a quarter. They're just really growing really big and expanding. And all the baby heads that were underneath are now just full-fledged heads and doing very well. So this one, again, seeing tons of growth from this coral. So Acan's doing very well under the light spectrum that I've set, and seeing lots of not only just growth in the individual head, but growth in the amount of heads as well. Here's just kind of another look at it. I try to do these under a couple different lighting conditions so you can see both the daylight and the blue light time period of what I run, so you can see a couple different perspectives on how the coral may look. All right, so the next coral we're going to look at here is my neon green candy cane or trumpet. This is what it looked like when I initially got it from someone off Craigslist, put it in my tank. This is what it looked like literally a week after I got it, after being under my light conditions. It fluffed up really well. The polyps got very fleshy and started filling in. So this was this is actually a little over 3 months ago. So this was about 3.5 months ago when it looked like this. Again, just great improvement from just putting it in my tank under new lighting conditions. The head started filling up much more, started getting a lot more fleshy and a lot more full, and filling the area to where there wasn't a ton of gaps between each head. So we got a little bit of a close up here so you can kind of see again how the heads are filling up and filling the spaces that were there. They looked really sparse in the tank from the guy that I got them from, and within a week under these lighting conditions, looking a ton better and just really filling up. So looking forward, and this would be about 3.5 months after I got them, you can just see those few heads there have turned into just a little ball. You can see the colony has grown much wider in all directions. The heads are really full. There's no gaps between anything. And you can see there most of the heads that are splitting, they're all double heads. Again, just the growth on this thing has been absolutely amazing, much more than what I would have expected. If you look at it, previously what I was showing, it was very thin on one side, long on the other, and now it's just freed up it's just filled all the extra space and become just this little ball. And again, it's continuing to grow. You can see the one on the far side, the other side, when I go down to the far side at the bottom, it's actually growing down the colony there and just finding every last bit. So this is a bicolor hammer that I put in my tank. It's got gold stems. This is what I put it in 5.5 months ago. You can see very sparse, small heads. This is what it looked like 3 months ago. The heads started filling in. everything started splitting. This is again a gold stem, so it's a nice gold stem with purple tips and green tips, a bicolor hammer. You can see the one head when I go to it actually has both colors on right there. You can see both colors on the same head. And then there's several heads that just have a single color. So this is what it looks like now, 3 months, or I'm sorry, right now. So this is another 3 months after that, so 5 months after being in my tank. You can just see tremendous growth. Heads are just splitting everywhere. The one that was the 2 colors is right there. It's now split in half. There's a little bit of each color on each, but they've really kind of separated out. So if we're looking at this thing now, that one that was a single head originally, a double head later, 3 heads now. Went on there, the side there, you can see the kind of the gold coming in. That's a double head. I started with 8 heads. At the 6 month mark, I was increased, and at at the 3 month mark, I was increased, and at this one, at the 6 month mark, more like 5.5 months, I am up to 14 heads. This thing has split and grown almost in double. It filled every last bit of the space between the heads, the small little heads that were on the initial purchase, and it has just filled up all that space. You can see that many heads have split double. Some of them have split triple, and this thing is just growing like crazy. I'm super proud of this one and very pleased with the results. Looking at my trach here, 5.5 months ago, this is what it looked like. It came with a tank that I bought used, and it was a small little trach. And then we've got it here. This was 3 months ago, so this was 3 months into setting up the tank in my house after buying it. Definitely growing, definitely expanding. The colors are coming in a lot more. Look at all that splatter on it. Definitely showing its colors a lot better. You can see here from a top down, again, the colors just coming in much better. That color difference in the center there is just amazing. It really kind of shines with the bright and dark contrast. And then the speckles all over that, the red skirt there is very pretty as well. Definitely shows well, and it's definitely seen some growth at this 3 month mark. Here at the 6 month mark, you can see this thing is just bowing on several sides there. It has taken on that traditional trach look where it bows in the middle. So definitely it has grown enough to start changing its shape. And when it's grown enough to start changing its shape from just a round little puck to something that is bowing and curving in the middle, that is just some outstanding growth. And this thing is definitely doing very well and showing lots of growth. So looking at this guy here, just a couple small heads when I bought it that were starting to split, and this is what it looks like 3 months after I bought it. Those 2 little measly heads that were just starting to split are now 4 full heads at the 3 month mark, and here we go at the 6 month mark. You can see each of those 4 heads are splitting as well into 8 heads. So to go from 2 initial heads that were starting to split 6 months ago to 8 heads in 6 months, that's just pretty amazing growth. And you can see here when we're looking at a distance, each individual mouth that is popping out, you can see the growth pattern change throughout the coral to show all the individual mouths popping out and where the splits are going to be. Some of them are on their way well to splitting. Some the mouths are just elongated and showing the mouths where they're going to be. But again, you saw that initial one there 6 months ago. 2 heads freshly splitting. You saw the 3-month where they were splitted into 4, and now we're looking at 8. So great progress. If you look at this skully here, I got this skully a little over 3 months ago. I actually used it for my acclimation video on the day I got it. You can see it on that plug there. It's small. It had kind of that tuft, so definitely needed some work. And here's what it looks like today. It is big enough that you can't even see the plug underneath it. It swells up huge. That tuft has gone away. The coloration is definitely coming better. Just a really nice looking piece from what came in. I was actually really concerned with the tuft when it came in, whether I was actually going to lose the coral or not. That tuft was very concerning with the flesh lifting off of the skeleton a little bit. But this thing has bounced back and has grown, and it has done extremely well in the 3 months under those lighting conditions. Standard green on purple hammer. It was 2 heads when I got it. You can see here it had grown to 4 heads at the 3-month mark. Again, doing very well. Coloration coming in very well. And you can see here I have it under a couple different lighting conditions, so you can see what it looks like during my daylight, during my transition from day to night, and of course what it looks like under the night light. I have a couple shots from through the glass, as well as down from the top of the water. Of course, it looks a little bit different on each shot there. So you can see there, a few months in. Now we're at the 6-month mark. So we went from 2 heads to 4 heads. And now we are at 6 heads at the 6-month mark. So you can see there that it is definitely much fuller. It started filling. It was kind of awkward shaped. Now it's a nice little ball. Definitely filling in the areas and filling up that space there. And the coral is just doing really well. Not quite the growth that I've seen on the other ones, but this one is also tucked under a cliff, so it doesn't quite get the light that the other ones get. This one is about 2/3 down in the tank. And it's also underneath some of my frog spawns, so it gets a lot of indirect light at a lower distance than what the other ones have. All right, so then I have my Frammer here. It is green with blue tip. This is it when I first put it in the tank about 5.5 months ago. If you've seen my previous videos, I got this on a trade. It was 1 single head. At the 2.5 month mark, that 1 single head had elongated a bit, but really hadn't done anything other than a little bit of coloring up. So I got a little bit tired of waiting on it. It really wasn't doing anything, and that was kind of frustrating. But I definitely had it blocked from light. The coral that had the 2 heads to 4 to 8, that hammer, it was underneath that one, so it was really not getting a ton of light, and it was also underneath one of my grafted torch colonies. So I moved it. And you can see there, it's 2 heads now. I moved it about a month ago, and after moving the single head 1 month ago, I now have 2. This one split quickly after moving it, got it a lot more light, a lot better flow. You can see a top-down look at it there. We'll see how this one works out. I don't foresee a ton of quick growth, as it is very short on the plug. Like the distance from the flesh to the plug is very short. The individual I got it from just cut the head so short. It didn't really give it a ton of room to stretch. But nonetheless, Within 1 month after moving it from one head to two, just a great change. You see it just another minute here. It got a lot closer on it here under a little bit different lighting conditions. So you can see it opening up a lot better, and you can see the split between the two heads a lot better as well. To show that it's two individual heads, it's not even in the process of split anymore, it's fully split. So another one I want to show here, this is a King Midas Zoa frag I got on a trade. Again, if you've seen some previous videos, this looks familiar. And I just kind of wanted to show what it has done in the 3.5 months that I've had it in the tank. Definitely it has made some progress. This is when it was just acclimating at the bottom of the tank shortly after putting it in. Very pretty coral, but definitely needed a little bit of work to grow into it. And here's what it looks like current day. Not a ton of growth. Obviously, it did fill up the entire top of the little frag piece that it was there. The zoanthids are definitely stretching and reaching off of the rock more. So they're getting fuller, they're pushing each other aside and fighting for space versus being very tight to the rock. These mushrooms here, I had another video on them where I got them on a trade and had to film under white because I couldn't really get a good picture of them. The color is just coming in amazing, and I can actually picture them now under blue. They're starting to shine a lot more, and you can see them more from a distance in the tank. You can see that coloration pop out versus just having them blend. So I did want to show some effects on coloration and in how this light spectrum is helping the corals boost their coloration. All right, so looking at the light spectrum again, I have a couple other videos on this, but this is my light spectrum. I do have it in the comments, in the description. I also have it saved as a downloadable on Facebook. How to get there is in the description as well. I know looking at it, it looks like, oh, there's high on each end, low in the middle. That's just not true. It looks that way because of the changes in percentage. If you look at the overall spectrum intensity, it varies very little from start to finish. It may look a little wonky because of the color intensity changes, but it's not. When it comes to what your corals are seeing, what your corals are feeling, the spectrum changes very little. Again, if I go back to the first video I did, I based this off of a bulb tank. I've always been a bulb guy running T5's metal halide combos, and I based this spectrum off of those in order to help stabilize out what the corals see. So if you want to see more on this spectrum, again, look in the description. Check on the Facebook site that's also in the description. It's downloadable there. Hopefully you got some good information here. Give me a like. Give me a subscribe. This rest of this video is going to show out the rest of the light sequence, the spectrums, the timings, all that good stuff. The rest of it is on the video here. Again, give me a like. Give me a subscribe, and I'll get more content out soon. Thanks, guys.